What's up, everybody? Welcome to Game Plans, the podcast where two business owners pull back the curtain on what it actually takes to build something real. I'm Brooks Anderson, real estate agent, entrepreneur, and co-host, sitting here across with Steve, mortgage broker, lender, and the other half of this whole thing. Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Doing really good, man. I'm excited for today. This is a big one for me personally. We've got somebody I consider a mentor and a friend. A guy who's been in the trenches of sales a whole lot longer than you and I have, combined. So no, I'm very excited. This will be good.
Our guest today is Curtis Weinstein, Air Force veteran, served with the Presidential Honor Guard, who got into security business in the late 90s the hard way, knocking on doors, making the sale, and driving back out to install himself. He built his own ADT dealership from nothing. Today he runs or sold SafeStreets, the largest ADT authorized provider in the country. He's a husband, father, podcaster, and probably the most quotable guy we've had on. Curtis, welcome to the show, man.
Hey
Excited
man,
to talk to you.
thanks for having me. Brooks, I do want to correct you. You're not a real estate agent, you're a realtor.
Either one works just fine. Thanks, Curtis.
Sort of, we swung that back, didn't we? It's an
Exactly.
inside joke for the crowd.
You missed it, Steve. So take us to the beginning, Steve. I want to hear about your story and want to hear where it all started. Take me
Yeah.
back to how you got into the military, how
Oh,
you grew up. What's that?
well, I think it's fair to say, a lot of people ask one of the questions is like, people say I bet you wish this would have happened or you wish that would have happened. And the reality is if half of us grew up the person we wanted to be, we wouldn't be the person we are today, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
as when you're younger, you wish a lot of things, but the reps that I got as a kid, in a rough upbringing, I think molded me into who I am. And I think, well, you know, this is probably going to be a little bit of a different interview in a sense that I'm not. I was telling Steve yesterday, I'm not cotton candy. Like there is upsides and downsides to everything, right? And if it's work, success breeds success, but to be successful, there's a lot of reps that need to happen, right? It's just like working out. We were talking about working out, Steve, and the whole concept of working out is to break down the muscle till it's fatigued, till it's damaged, and
Mhm.
then it grows back and it gets stronger. Well, I grew up in New London, Connecticut, government housing, youngest of four boys. My dad left, and I'm just going to be real brief on this, but I think
Yeah.
it's important to kind of understand where people come from because if you knew where I was today, you wouldn't believe where if I telling you where I came from, you wouldn't believe I was able to get to where I am today. And so I think it's important because I hope that there's someone that listens to this that doesn't believe that they have the opportunity to be successful or the opportunity to grow a business and build a family, build a legacy to create wealth for generations to come. However you define success. I mean, success is doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, with who you want to do it with. And I don't mean that from an arrogant perspective. I mean that truly to have the freedom to pick and choose what, when, and how. To me, that's what success is. And so, growing up in Briarcliff Commons, I lived at 79 Redden Avenue, and it was there were brick government housing, and to qualify to be in this government housing, you had to be a single mom. So this is where a lot of people talk about the welfare system and how it's flawed. And this was one of the flaws that I grew up in, a bunch of single moms. And there was a lot of now today they call it baby daddies, right? Running
Hmm.
around, but you couldn't live in this community unless you didn't have a husband. It was for pretty much single moms only. And that found that really interesting, right? Because it fostered people to break up just to be able to get into the housing. So it was quite
Wow.
dysfunctional. Youngest of four boys, dad left when I was I I don't even know if it was 2 months or 2 years old. I really don't know the answer to that. But what I do know is I don't ever remember my father being in the house. So my older brothers do. But growing up like that, my mom worked really hard. She was a nurse. And the thing was, she made too much money to qualify for food stamps, but just enough, a little bit enough a small amount enough to be able to qualify for government housing. So we struggled. We didn't have oil in our furnace a lot of times. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have, I mean, I can think of sleeping with moon boots on and my snowsuit on and thinking it's normal, right? You just, when you don't know, you don't know, right? And so my sales journey started very early, and when I was 7, 8 years old, and I don't say that without 100% conviction. That's literally what happened. Is we would go together as brothers. We would go knock doors, shovel snow, rake leaves, mow lawns, and it wasn't to go make money to go get candy at the store. It was necessarily to give money to mom so we can get oil, we can get electricity. I'm not telling you we didn't skim a little bit off the top to go over to the candy store,
Right.
to go play
Right.
video games, Galaxy, Space Invader, Mario Brothers. This is long before phones and the consoles. I mean, we had the Atari, which was Pong. It's a completely different generation. But I spent a lot of time outside. I spent a lot of time chasing these things. I had two paper routes. I had the day, which was in the afternoon, and I had the Hartford Current, which was in the morning. And I don't know any life other than working. I don't know any other way to do it. And so growing up like that, I got the reps of knocking doors. But what I also got the reps of is seeing the downside of life. And my brother's got in a lot of trouble. Unfortunately, one of my older brothers ended up dying in jail, and I don't, I say that sadly, but we come from a generation of people that if you went left, you might have had some luck. If you went right, you were definitely doomed. And I went left. And at 17 years old, I joined the military, and I went in as soon as I turned 18. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it took the street smarts and it gave me discipline. And the reason I went
Yeah.
in is I knew I wasn't going to college. I knew I wasn't going to university. I knew I wasn't, I knew I wasn't going to go to school. And it wasn't because I didn't want to, it was because I wasn't given the skill set to accomplish that.
Right.
I didn't have any oversight when I was at home. So, I did most of my homework in school suspension, to be totally honest with you, right? And I would get in school suspension on purpose just so I could get grades so I could graduate because I was life at home sucked. It really did. I moved out of my house when I was 15 years old to live with a buddy who had a single mom. And I moved there because there was no oversight and I didn't have to worry about anything. And I somehow graduated high school and I joined the military. And it was the best thing that I ever did because it gave me 7 years of pure discipline with street smarts. So
Right.
when you fast forward to how I got the skill sets, I just kind of figured out the skill God gave me and I just exploited the heck out of it. And the gift he gave me was to be able to persuade and communicate. And I had to learn that early on in life to get the people to pay me for the paper route when I had to collect. Because this is back when you had to go collections. Every week you would go collect money.
Hmm.
I always won the contest for selling candy bars for Little League or soccer or school. I won all the contests because every walkathon we used to have a thing called walkathon, believe it or not, where you'd get people to
I remember
pledge.
this.
I
Yeah.
actually did fake walkathons. I would go around door to door and then I'd come back and say I walked and I didn't. I would collect the money and I didn't give it to anybody but myself. So I didn't grow up with the best oversight. I got to be honest with you, but
But your
I'm
mom was
very
busy.
proud. But I'm very proud of how I grew up because it taught me, how to navigate. So, um, now forgive me, Brooks. Do you want me to keep rolling, or is there a
You go,
question?
Yeah.
man.
No, keep going, man.
Okay, because you can
It's
interrupt me at any time. So,
no. We like
so,
this.
so what that led to for me was joining the military. And even when I was in the military, I had multiple jobs. My friends used to say I was Jamaican. They were like, "You must look for jobs in the obituary, man. Every time there's someone dies, there has to be a job opening, right?" So so I had multiple jobs, man. I was a doorman. I was a car stereo installer. I owned my own alarm business where I installed car alarms and car stereos. I'd
Hmm.
buy them on base and I would install them for a lot less than the local companies would do. I was very handy. I was very, hands-on. I had to build my own bikes when I was little and I was very self-sufficient. Even to this day, I'm very much solitude. Like I like being by myself. Even though I can get in front of 5,000 people and speak to them, I'm actually an introvert. I don't like going to parties and interacting with small talk. I like talking about important things. I don't like really talking about things that don't make a difference.
The day to
Gotcha.
day.
It's just not my jam. I can if I need to, but I'm much bigger picture. How do I make a difference? How do I make something move? How do I get results? And so there's an upside and a downside. We'll get to that in a little bit. But when I got out of the military, I I moved to Florida. I was stationed in DC where I met my beautiful wife. I've been married for 29 years. So I'm proud of that. The only person in my family to not get divorced. Um, it's not perfect, but it's awesome. Like I think that's the best
It's
way
every marriage, right?
to describe a unity, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but 29 awesome years with my wife. We got married 6 months after we met. I was 23 years old. She's 4 years older than me. I lied to her, told her, she asked me how old I was going to be. I said, I'm going to be 25. So I didn't really lie because I planned on being 25 at some point. So we laugh about that today because I didn't think she'd be interested in me if I was, 4 years younger than her.
Yeah.
But
She didn't specify when you were going to be
that's what I
25.
said. I didn't say I want. I said I'm gonna be. I said
Yeah.
I'm gonna be. So, anyways, she married me 6 months later, and we've been married for 29 years. So we have two
Congrats, man.
awesome
That's great.
boys. And fatherhood's a journey in itself. But let me finish the business aspect of it first. So, as I got out of the military, you mentioned the alarm industry, which really was my core competency of success. But I started in the Kirby vacuum business. I
Okay.
started knocking doors selling Kirby vacuums and $2,000 vacuums door to door. And so, and people asked me how business was, and I would tell them it sucked, right? Get it? Vacuum, it sucked. But I was very good at what I did in the vacuum business, but I absolutely hated it. I hated it.
Right.
There's no regulations, there's no background checks, it's just the hardest sale in the world, and I was really, really good at it. I became the fastest promoted factory distributor in the history of the company at the time. I went from sales rep to factory distributor in 14 months.
Wow.
Now, it helped. I didn't have any bad habits. I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't do drugs. I didn't do anything at the time. And because I just got out of the military, to me, all that stuff was like poison, right? And so getting into that, I was able to save a very good amount of money in less than 2.5 years. And I got out of the business. Now, part of it, I got out because we had a little bit of adversity in our life. So I might as well share some downsides. We lost two baby daughters. She was 7 months pregnant, 8.5 months pregnant. And I don't bring that up because I really want to talk about that as much as for me personally, when adversity strikes, I work harder. I bury myself in things. I had my best month in business when those happened. And it's not because I didn't care, it's because I did care. And it was the easiest way for me to run from the pain, right? Is to just go
Mm-hmm.
work. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm wired the
every
same
time
way.
I've had pain in my life, I would just go run and work. And I did it as a kid, I did it as an adult, and I do it now today, even to this day. Whether it's work on my golf swing or work on a new business I'm working on or do sales consulting that I'm doing now.
It's also
I
something
really
that
care.
probably gives you joy too, right?
Oh, to get paid, Brooks, for your intellect
Right.
at some point in your life becomes really cool, right? Because
Yep.
your original sales is an eat what you kill business, right? Like we're all in an eat what you kill business. And you could be the greatest entrepreneur in the world. If you can't generate money or business, I mean, you could be the most intellectual person in the world. If you don't know how to close a sale, then you don't have a
That's
business.
right.
You don't have
That's
a
right.
business,
Yeah.
right? So I've always been like, I always thought it was easier for a salesperson to learn how to be a businessman than it is for a business person to learn how to do sales. It's sales is the strongest competency you can have in business. And not that everything else isn't important. It's just the most important thing. It doesn't mean the other stuff's not important, but generating revenue is sort of really important, right? Because there's a saying in business, prosperity hides sin, right? So when you have problems in business, nothing trumps problems greater than revenue, right? Like it's not when you have a flat tire, the problem now in my life is time, not the cost to change the tire, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the time, it's
Mm-hmm.
the time you don't care about the cost. You'll pay someone to sit and wait for your car tire to be changed while you Uber to your next appointment because that's the most important thing is meeting the revenue line, right? Is generating business and telling your story and creating opportunity. So getting out of that, being in that business, I got out. My wife wanted to move from Florida back to Virginia, where she was from, and I got into the real estate game for a very short amount of time. I realized going door to door selling $2,000 vacuums was far different than trying to sell real estate. I'd get people, I'd take them to the house and I'd be like, no, you like this one. They're like, no, not really. No, you like this one. We're going to
That's
get
the
this
hard
one,
part.
right?
Yep.
We're not
Yep.
driving around anymore, right? So I'm used to that instant close, like,
Uh-huh.
close them. And I'm all about energy. And to me, sell, the acronym SELL, I came up with this a long time ago. I believe I came up with it. I don't ever recall reading it. So if someone came up with it, I apologize if I'm stepping on someone's toes. But SELL to me stands for see the people, excite the people, love the people, and leave with a signed contract, right? And that's what selling is. See them, excite them, love them, and leave with success. And we're in an emotional game. Selling is faxing emotions from my heart to yours, right? It's connecting telepathically. It's emotions.
Hmm.
It's mirroring. It's doing all these different things to get people to buy into your persuasion or to however you're trying to build value, right? It's getting people into the yes momentum game, right? And whether it's how's the weather? It's nice, isn't it? Yes, right? That counts towards yes momentum in sales, right? So I was really good at that piece of it. So I didn't work in real estate quite the same though. So I realized my skill set was direct sales at the time, and I really needed to capitalize on that. So I didn't want to do Kirby's anymore. I didn't want to sell vacuums. I wanted to find another product. So one of my brothers was selling alarms in Florida. And I started looking into that and I realized ADT had this authorized dealer program. I'm like, man, this sounds like a cool thing. We go knock doors, we sell the alarm, we install it, and we make X amount of money. I'm like, I think we can do this. I was selling $2,000 vacuums. I'm sure I can sell life safety. I'm
Yep.
telling
Yep.
people to get the filth, funk, and bacteria out of their carpet. I certainly could tell them they can protect themselves from intruders or fire or emergencies, right? And my concept worked quite well actually. And so we became one of the fastest growing ADT dealers. And so I jumped into that business and it was just my brother and I recruited him to move up to Virginia. He was scared out of his mind. I said, bro, it's going to work. I promise you. All you got to do is keep doing what you're doing. I'll figure out the rest. Help me generate sales. I'll learn how to install. I'll train an installer. I'll sell to. We were driving around selling and installing real time. We did 70 our first month. ADT called us for a meeting. They couldn't understand. No dealer had sold that grew that fast. And we fast forward from 1999 to 2012. I sold my first company to ADT and I went to work for ADT and I was able to retire my brother, which was kind of cool. He didn't really want to move any further up into the business or anything. And so I agreed to stay on and run the business. But man, there's we can fast forward all this success, but I have to tell you, along the way, there's a lot of roadblocks. There's a lot of bumps in the road. There's a lot of detours. There's a lot of recalculating routes, right? And that's
Hmm.
what's so great about GPS, right? Is you get lost, you push a button and you get set back on track. It's not so much in business sometimes. You sort of have to figure it out. You have to use a compass and you have to sort of figure out the right way to go. And you know, I love hearing people say, hey, you're this, you're that, you're great. It's nice to hear accolades, but to be honest, I enjoy telling the truth more, which is, yes, I've had massive success, but I've also had massive failure in my life personally, in a sense that it may not seem like failure to others, but I just want people to understand that being successful does not go without sacrifice. I was reading a book, oh my gosh, what's it called? Relentless. Oh, help me out, Steve. He was on the Ed Milet podcast. He was the trainer for Kobe Bryant. And
Relentless by
what
Tim
was
Grover. It was just
Tim
Relentless.
Grover? Yes.
Yeah.
And he tells a
I'm
story in
looking. I think I
there
got it on the
where
bookshelf.
he's telling a story there where he is telling his going to have ice cream with his daughter because he travels a lot. And he's like,
Hmm.
man, this is exciting. We're going to have a great day. And he gets a call. And the call was, I need you right now. And Tim had a choice to make. Do I stick to the plan and take my daughter for ice cream, or do I pack my bags and do what my commitment is? And the story would have been great if he took his daughter for ice cream, but that's not what happened. He packed his bag and he left. And that is the level of sacrifice, in my opinion, that it takes to have massive success. Now, here's the caveat that I have for a lot of people. Not everybody is geared to have that level of success
or commitment.
It's not even about
Preach.
commitment.
Preaching now.
You have to understand that I'll give you a scenario. I call myself a cursing Christian. I've done really good so far on this podcast, but I do have a potty mouth. But the reason I have a potty mouth is because I listened to my mother scream at me and drop F-bombs on me all day long because she was working 2 jobs and we'd keep her awake and we'd take money out of her pocket, but we would do all the things you weren't supposed to do as a kid, right? But we grew up in the hood, so we did good things, And so I learned I was telling dirty jokes when I was 9 years old. I mean, I didn't even know what they meant, but just you just learn things fast in the hood that you probably shouldn't. Most kids are better served not knowing. And so I remember having a lunch with my pastor once. This is when I was in Florida, and he's like, I'm sorry, when I lived in Virginia. You just need to pray about it. And I'm like, look, Pastor Daniel, you're a 3rd generation pastor. Me saying just pray about it is like you suddenly becoming me. You didn't grow up like me.
Right.
I am who I am. And while I am, now being a Christian, being saved and feeling I am full of the Holy Spirit, I am more cognizant now. But you don't just change someone just like that, right? Like it doesn't happen like that. And so I've had to that level of tenacity was built into me when I was a kid. So if you were someone that didn't have that level of tenacity early on, it doesn't mean you can't have that tenacity. It just means don't beat yourself up if you're struggling to find it.
That's good.
Because what I can tell you is I have some friends of mine who are very successful, but not successful if you measure it financially. But they're amazing fathers. They are there to catch the ball. They are there at every game. I missed games. I didn't catch the ball enough. I wasn't there enough for homework. And so there is a sacrifice to be made, 100%. But here's what I would say. I made a commitment to myself, and I had to figure this out. I don't even know if I consciously made this commitment, but when I look back and I think about it, I feel like I made this commitment a long time ago if I were to verbalize it, I would say, maybe I didn't do all the things the best father in the world could have done in a sense of being there all the time because I was working 80 hours a week. Why did I work 80 hours a week? Because I watched my mom do it. It's all I knew. Right.
What's the saying? It's either caught or taught.
Yeah. And so I said, what is worse for me? The flip side is my kids end up suffering what I went through as a kid, and I didn't want that to happen. I never wanted my kids to know what it was like not to have food in the refrigerator. I never wanted my kids to know what it was like to have a toothache and can't go to the dentist. I never wanted to know what it was like to I love my mom, but she used to beat the snot out of me. I love her beyond everything. And I probably deserved it 90% of the time. But it was quite dysfunctional. So I didn't want my kids to be in that environment. Now, maybe they were in some kind of dysfunctional environment because I wasn't home all the time, right? But the one thing I stood firm on is they will never suffer the way I suffered. I don't want my wife or my kids to suffer. And so I took that literally, guys, and I became who I am.
Go ahead, Brooks. I know you had a question.
Given your success, how do you instill an edge or give your kids something that, is part of you, given you want them to be successful and have an opportunity to have some success in life?
The greatest gift I could give them, Brooks, is make sure they know they don't have to be me. My oldest son said to me, Dad, what if I don't want to be rich? What if it's not important to me? I said, well, that's easy to say knowing the inheritance you're going to get, but let's put that to the side. Let's put that to the side. I mean, I help my kid when he needs it. He's married now. And he's trying to find himself. I'm proud of him. He just took the insurance test. He got his insurance license. And so he started college, he started university at Tampa during COVID and never went back. He got diagnosed with diabetes when he was 14, and it really changed him dramatically as a person. And he's still dealing with that today. My wife got diagnosed a year earlier in her 40s. It was a crazy time in my life, man. And so my son, my oldest son, Nicholas, I love him to pieces. He's a great young man, articulate, and he's got his own issues. But the biggest point of growth for me was realizing that they don't have to be me, and realizing that they can be whatever they want to be as long as they're happy. I want them to be productive and I want them to be happy, but I don't want them to be on a Louis Vuitton budget, and think I'm going to support them. Like if they want nice things in life, they got to work for that. But if they're okay, driving a Hyundai or you know what I'm saying? I don't mean that derogatory. You understand what I'm saying? Like
No,
you're
no,
okay driving a used car and knowing that if you get a flat tire, you're going to worry about the cost of it, things like that. Now, in all fairness, I don't let my kids suffer, but I also don't enable them. I literally do not enable them. So they get to come over my house and see all the nice things I have, but they don't get all those nice things. You got to work for them. I bought him a nice car and I pay his car insurance and I help him in that aspect of it. But that's only because it's ridiculously expensive for a young man to survive now.
Crazy. Right.
So
yeah,
I'm helping him because I would have spent it on university anyways, but I don't enable him.
sure.
I do not enable him, either one of them. So I'm proud of both of them. My younger son's at Full Sail University studying film. He's a totally different soul than my older son. My older son, in all fairness, has been through a lot. And so I've been through a lot with him, and we've had a lot of ups and downs, and he's in a good place now and we're in a good place. But I just think it's important when you think about success, don't think you're going to do it without shrapnel, without collateral damage. Like don't think you can do everything without some collateral damage. So I would say if I could do it all over again, if I could have figured out a way to balance it differently and even if it meant a little bit less success financially, and to have the joy of watching my kids prosper later in life would have been nice. But now I feel like I'm enjoying my success, but now I think what God's gifted me with is the ability to now be there for them now. And I am there for them now, like in a way, if you need me, I'm there, call me. There's nothing, if he called me and said, I need you, Dad, right now, there's nothing more important than me being there. I don't have any commitment that wouldn't allow me just to leave. So God's given me the financial ability to be able to live that with that freedom. But I just need people to understand success does not happen without consequence.
No, that's a good word. I wanted to just tag on that, Curtis, for a second. I think people forget that being a parent or being a father, that's a lifelong journey. That's not just while they're kids, right? Like I think a lot of people really focus on, this is the kind of parent I was when my kid was, 5 to 18. Well, what about 18 to whenever we all have the same ending at some point. We all get put in the dirt. So what's that second half look like, right? And I like how you said that success has blowback, like very high level success, and everybody's got different definitions of success and what that looks like and what that means. But true professional success, like it's not always pretty. It's not always glamorous. Most of the time it's not. People always see what it looks like on the outside, but on the inside it's much, much different. Brooks, I know you had a question.
I wanted to drill down a little bit about what got you to faith.
It's a great story, man.
You talked about the pastor and not understanding that in the moment, but obviously that's an important thing for you now. I'd love to hear a little bit about
Sure. How I got into faith was I was in the Air Force. It was 1996. I will caveat this by saying it took me 10 years to realize what that meant. But I got saved in 1996. working a part-time job at an auto body shop in Oxon Hill, Maryland, right in the middle of the hood. I'm still friends with this guy today. I'm actually his pastor. His pastor's son is one of my best friends. I'm now the godparent. They live in Maryland. Where my wife and I are the godparents to their 4 kids. Um, Julian Swan owned a body shop. He talked to me about Jesus, and he saved me in a dusty body shop. And I started going to study with them. It was an all-black church. I started going to Bible study with them, and the black churches are a lot longer than white churches, bro. It's hours and hours and
A
hours, bro.
little more long-winded than Luke, huh?
It just keeps going, bro. It's the whole book of Leviticus. Um, and so to this day, I'm still consider uh, him my pastor, Pastor Aaron Harley. I call him to this day. Pastor Aaron Harley grew up in the worst hood in Washington, D.C., Berry Farms, and was a gang leader. And in his mid-20s, got saved and became radical. Was the kind of guy that stood on the corner with a bullhorn, radicalizing. Then he realized what Christianity was, and I consider him a prophet now. I mean, he is the most prophetic human being I know, and he talks with broken English in a sense of like the way he grew up. But his kids, the generation that the generational curse that he got rid of is unbelievable, right? Same thing I was able to do, which I'm super proud of. But the generational curse that Pastor Aaron Harley got rid of was unbelievable. All his kids who have kids are all homeschooled. His kids were homeschooled, and they're not prudes. You would think they grew up in a rough area, but they're not. They're as straight-laced as they come, man. And so it took me 10 years, Brooks, to realize what that meant. I lived in turmoil, man. Woo! Turmoil, man. I fought with my wife every night because now think about this. I got married in March 1st of 1997. Okay. I got married. I got out of the military in November of 1997. And I moved to Florida in November of 1997 and started a career selling Kirby vacuums, working at least 80 to 100 hours a week. I would drive 3 hours away just to go knock doors. Because my philosophy was if I drove farther away, it's not easy to come home, and you don't want to come home without money, right? So I would take people to places where we would go and make sure that we had success. And I was very rarely, I could have a bad day, I could have a bad week, but if I did everything I was supposed to do, I never had a bad month. I could go get it right now. I could show you, and I'll show you sometime, Steve. I still have my handwritten pay stubs when I first started Kirby. And I never made less than $10,000 a month. Now, I had just got out of the military making $13,000 to $14,000 a year. So I lived like I was still making that kind of money, but I saved every penny I was making, man. I just kept putting it away and putting it away and putting it away.
Like a squirrel.
I was like, this is awesome, man. And so in less than 2.5 years, and I don't mind saying this, I saved almost $400,000 I paid taxes on in 2.5 years selling Kirby vacuums.
That's amazing.
Now, I almost lost my marriage over it, not because I was cheating, not because I was never there. I literally left at 6, 7 in the morning, and my wife is in this new place by herself, and I didn't get home. If I got home at 8 o'clock on a Saturday, we would celebrate. If I got home at 7, it was a miracle, but then I was closing sales for the next 2.5 hours on the phone, and she never had my attention. So now, at the same time, we lost the babies. Like, there was a lot going on, right? Every time we lost a baby, I was out in the field selling. And so it was a terrible situation. And so, so your question was, how did I drill it into my faith?
Yeah.
How did I come to faith? I'm sorry.
How did you come to faith? Yeah.
So let me circle back. So that was how I came to faith 10 years later, when turmoil really, really hit me. I was just having so much anxiety. I didn't really know where it was coming from. I started going to a men's Bible study, and I started hanging out with believers, not prudes, not holier than holy people, real men. I read a book I think it was called The Warrior Culture. I can't remember it's about servant leadership, but it's about being a warrior for God. And there's there's a verse in the Bible that says we are made in God's image, and I don't know the exact verse, but it says God is a warrior. So if you're made in God's image, then you are a warrior, right? And we are warriors
Mm-hmm.
for Christ and for our family and for, I just decided to be a warrior for everything I do, right? Like I'm just going to, whatever I believe in, I'm standing firm on, I'm going to preach it from the mountaintop as best I can. Not just my faith, but anything I believed in, whether it's a business, a friend of mine's business I want to promote, or, I just believe in it. And so I feel like I'm still on the journey, Brooks, to be honest with you, man. I don't think I try to feed my mind every day with spiritual food.
Mm-hmm.
I do realize that, your relationship with God is what you put into it. It's just like any other friendship. You can't ask for a lot of things. And that's why I don't mean to disparage any pastors, but Joel Osteen, I'm not disparaging. It's all cotton candy preaching for me. It's like
Right.
nothing bad can happen. No, that's not true. A lot of bad things happen.
Bible actually says the opposite.
A lot of bad things happen. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so coming into faith for me changed everything. And really, when I say it changed everything, it really made my life a lot harder. It didn't make it easier because now I had a conscience. It was much easier being a heathen than it was being a Christian. It was so much easier. It was so much easier to just yell at people and scream at people. And I remember when I was in transition, and I'm talking transition from a secular person to a Christian. But when I started transitioning my mind to be a Christian man, you always have those blurts of flesh. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember some guy owed me $10,000, right? And he owed another guy $6,000. And me and this other guy who owed money, we were friends. And so to this day, he still busts my chops on this. We both got the checks at the same time in the same parking lot. The difference was Michael had to go to another appointment. The first thing I did was run to the bank because I knew if I didn't get there first, there wasn't going to be enough money to cash my check.
Yeah.
But the problem was I was on my way to the airport too. Wells Fargo, it was on Stafford County Road in Stafford, Virginia. I'll never forget. I walked in, and to this day, I feel like a jackass, but the the teller was just doing his job and he couldn't verify the funds. It was just the way the banking system worked. And I totally lit him up because I was just pissed. But it ended up cashing anyways. But man, did I light him up. He made me so mad because I didn't feel like he was fighting for me. And I said things at the moment, it felt really good. I got in my car and I drove to the airport. I was so much adrenaline, right? I was rushing to get to the gate. I get to the gate and my flight's delayed 45 minutes. And now my adrenaline, it starts dying down, right? Starts
Mm-hmm.
dying down. And I'm just sitting there and I just felt so much conviction of what did I just do? What did I just do to that guy? Like, my God, did I just absolutely desecrate anything he had in his brain of a good day, or he didn't deserve anything I said. So now I'm like, now there's like 30 minutes left, 20 minutes. I'm sitting there going, all right, what do I do? And whether you call it the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, I was like, I got to call the bank. I got to call the bank. I got to talk to this guy. So I call the bank and I said, I got to talk. I don't know his name. There's a Spanish guy that's there. I need to speak to him. Well, he's with a customer. I'll wait. Please, please, please put me on hold. Please put him on the phone. So they're loading the gate, man. It's coming down. I'm telling you, it's getting down to like almost 10 minutes. You got to get, I'm not willing to get on the plane yet. I got to talk to this guy. He gets on the phone and I said, hey, don't hang up on me. I said, I was in the bank. I'm the jackass that screamed at you, who disrespected you, who said things to you you did not deserve. You were doing your job. I am asking for your forgiveness. Please forgive me for the way I treated you. And he just paused for a second. I was like, oh no. And he goes, sir, are you playing a joke on me? And I said, no, I am the guy that was in there screaming at you. I am asking for you. He goes, yes, yes, I forgive you. And I said, thank you. I'm getting on an airplane right now. Thank you. And that was a moment for me that it made me realize that it's not my world, man. And we all fall into that trap sometimes and do stupid things, and we get selfish with our situation. But man, I get a little emotional sometimes thinking about it, because that guy didn't deserve it, but it actually was supposed to happen because it woke me up.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? I
Mm-hmm.
was able to get a hold of him and he forgave me. And when you think about it, that's what Jesus did for us, right? He gets a hold of us and we just have to realize we're forgiven. That's it. It's not any harder than that. All the other stuff matters, but I got news for you. If you're a believer and you try and you really do the best you were geared up to do, even if you don't go to church, you still get to go to heaven. I need people to understand that. You
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily enjoy all the earthly benefits of gatherings, of unity, of the group of love and people, but you still get to go to heaven. And I'm reading a book right now called Imagine the God of Heaven. And it talks about these near-death experiences, guy who studied near-death experiences. And I'm telling you right now, if you
My
haven't
wife's
read
reading
it,
it
if
right now.
people listening to this haven't read it, please read it. It's amazing. It'll strengthen your faith beyond what you can imagine. So bringing me to faith, Brooks, was a hard journey, bro. I still
I
argue
imagine
with
so.
God today. My prayer sometimes is yelling at him. Like, just tell me, what am I doing wrong? Why do I keep making this mistake? Why do I keep, and he just keeps telling me it's just a habit, man. You just need to figure out a way to break the habit. It's called free will, Curtis.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I just took it away from you, then you wouldn't have free will. We
Well,
have
it's like
free will to do what the hell we want, but we also have to suffer the consequences, good or bad.
right.
And
What's
while we
like
still get to
the
go to
way.
heaven, we suffer earthly consequences. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say it's like when you pray for peace, God doesn't necessarily give you peace. He gives you something you got to find peace about, right? Or you know, when you pray for patience, He doesn't just wave a magic wand and give you patience. He generally gives you things that test your patience, so you learn to be patient. Um, and that certainly parallels in in business and everything too. Like faith and business very much go hand in hand, and that walk and consistency and leaning in and
The
um,
struggle.
the struggle, right? Like it doesn't just go away. Um, but we probably got like 12 minutes. I want to
Let me tell
go.
you a quick
Sorry, Chris.
story, Steve. And Brooks, I think it was like last Thursday or two Thursdays ago. I had a terrible morning. Like my wife and I were fighting over some construction stuff, and I was completely disrespectful, and I was just being me, and I was totally out of line, and I just made her feel about this big because my words are my weapons, and like just did just wasn't being a good human being. And I just got in my car and I was like, man, like this is too hard being a Christian. Like I'm not cut out for this. Like I'm clearly the broken person I'm supposed to be because I keep falling back into that trap, and it just takes one time to make you feel like you've lost all momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go over to AMG to hit balls because I want solitude. And because if I went upstairs in my simulator, Steve, she would have come up and kept yelling at me, and rightfully so. So I go to someone else's simulator, and I'm sitting in there, and a group of kids came in. And here I am feeling like the worst Christian man you could possibly find, right? And so these kids walk in, and I realize I know them. And one of the kids walks up to me and he said, "Hey, Mr. Weinstein." And I was like, "Hey, Alex, how you doing? Alex Slayman." I was like, "Hey, man, what's up, brother?" And he said, "How's your son?" And I said, "Hey, man, my son's pretty good. They went to school together." I said, "He's doing pretty good, man. He's studying at the time he was studying, he just passed his test. He hadn't passed yet." I was like, he's doing good. He got married. He's doing this. He's doing that. I mean, he's doing pretty good. He's figuring life out. And I said, "What are you up to, man? What are you doing? What are you working? You working with your dad's business? What are you doing?" And he said, "Ah, man, I'm sort of things are on hold right now." And I go, "What's going on?" And He said, I got cancer. I said, what? He said, yeah. And I said, oh, well, what, like, what do you mean? What's going on? He said, well, I didn't listen to my parents. And I should have went to the doctor, or I should have went sooner. I was stubborn, and they went from my pancreas to my liver. And, right now I'm doing chemo, but just praying. And I'm like sitting there going, here, I'm the worst Christian in the world. Right. And this is like just earlier, like I'm talking like moments. And I said, Alex, do you have a relationship with God? I said, look, I'm not going to tell you to be strong, because that's just not fair, because I couldn't even imagine what you're going through. So I'm not going to tell you to be strong, because I don't know the pain you're feeling right now. But what I can tell you is you're loved, you're seen, and there's a purpose to everything. And I said, you have no idea how much you just blessed me right now. I said, you absolutely just blessed me with your turmoil, and it put life into perspective for me. I needed you to be here today. I needed to hear your voice. And I said to him, what's your relationship with God? And he said, well, I'm Catholic. I'm going to I'm going to reconfirm, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I said, Alex, just know it's as simple as saying you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and that he died and he rose 3 days later, and you are his servant, and you will do his will. And I said, I am going to pray for you to get better, but I'm also going to pray for God's will. And God's will is God's will. So that's what you should be praying for. It's his purpose.
Awesome.
Whatever it is, it's his purpose. So I'm going to tell you you're loved. I'm going to tell you I'm here for you. And he said to me, can we go get lunch sometime? And he texted me afterwards, and he said, you have no idea how much you did for me today. And I was like, brother, you don't even know what you did for me, dude. Like, here he's asking me about my son, and this poor young man, 25 years old, is dying from cancer. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, really? And then I called his dad, and his dad was crying on the phone with me, and we just had a great call. And I just would say that coming to faith I'm still coming, Brooks. It's really the best way for me to tell you, man.
It's a walk, right?
Every day I wake up, Steve, hoping I make the right choices, man.
Well, and like faith is a journey, and we're called to walk, right? And sometimes some days that walk looks much different than others, and sometimes you walk, and sometimes you take off running, and sometimes when you take off running, God's like, all right, go ahead, I'll catch up. Then you come. I just picture you like kind of coming back with your head down, like, all right, yep. All right. And then it's like and I think this happens to most people who are driven for success, right? Like you lean into your faith, you start to experience it, and you're like, all right, God, I got it from here. And then you just like take off, right? And he's like, all right, well, you'll see that this wasn't your doing the whole time anyways, and you'll come back. Right. So then he like lets you go, and you fall on your face, and you're like, all right, yeah. And you start praying again, and then you work your way back. You're like, all right, I got it again from here. Good. Leave me alone. I got it.
I think AMG is my ministry, dude, because I had a situation. There's a young man that was going to the Ledbetter school that was coming in, taking lessons from Sean. A great kid. I'm not going to say his name, but great kid. And he's from.
I met him, right? I think
yeah.
Carolina, right?
Yeah. And his dad passed away from cancer recently. And so they put him in this school. He's a little guy too. He's, smaller than most kids his age. And he's having a lot of trouble at the school. Well, that morning I come in, he's taking a lesson with Sean. And I know Sean wouldn't mind me saying this, because Sean is such an awesome soul himself. And I had a terrible day with my older son that morning, like a big argument, and it just derailed everything I felt. And I go in there, and he's struggling with something, and I just spoke into the kid, and I didn't know if they were listening to me, Sean and him. I certainly didn't know what Sean was hearing me, but within 15 minutes, this young man started crying, and I realized I hit a nerve, meaning I was right about everything I said. And then, I gave the kid a hug. I said, you got me, dude. Like, you got me, you got Sean. You're not alone. Don't suffer. You got men in your life who care for you and want you to be successful, and I will be there for you, dude. I know I'm not your biological father, but you can lean on me like that and I will be there for you. He doesn't need money. They got plenty of money. He needs mentorship. He needs love. He needs a father. He needs a man in his life. And Sean comes out. I was hitting balls, and Sean came over to me, and Sean started crying. And I said, well, let's go to your office, dude. And he couldn't get it out. He said, dude, what I just witnessed you do, and this is not to toot my horn, I promise you. I'm only saying this because this is God, man. I didn't walk in there knowing I needed to talk to this kid.
Yeah.
God just put a word in my mouth saying, hey, you think you're gonna win this battle and tell me you're not a Christian because you got in a fight with your son? Okay, Curtis, I got one for you. I'm going to put someone else's son in front of you, and I'm going to show you you're my son, and you're going to do exactly what you're supposed to do in this situation. And Sean said, I can't believe what I just witnessed. He goes, I didn't say anything because I was at awe with every word you said was so perfectly orchestrated. It almost felt like you wrote it down. And I said, he goes, you didn't even know he was here. And I said, well, I said, I blacked out, dude, to be honest with you. I blacked out. Like that's the only way I can explain it. I couldn't even remember. I don't even remember what I said.
Right. There's some of the best moments. They just like, and God gives you a word and you just lean into it and speak it. And sometimes it comes out and after you're like, where did that come from?
And then God sends Sean out there with tears in his eyes to reassure me that I'm an idiot for feeling the way I did on my drive over there.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I'm learning, man.
Well, there's something to that, like, and not to, we only got a few minutes. I know you got a hard stop.
We got okay.
But I think it's very important for men to get in community with other believers. Like you mentioned earlier, not prudes, but like, I attend a couple Bible studies. I go, one on Wednesday mornings and one on Saturday mornings, and just getting in community with other guys that experience life the same way you do, that have the same compass that you have, to know that there are people around you. Like it's, the more you breathe into other people, and Curtis, this is exactly what you're saying right now, is the more it uplifts you, right? Like if you want to uplift yourself, go breathe into someone else. Like a lot of times it's so easy to focus on like, hey, this is what I got going on. And
your
it's
challenges.
Like, and your challenge is like, hey, as soon as you start feeling that way, go help somebody else.
Well, as I'm going to say, it is important to be around men that are fueling you. But I think what's more important for Christian men, Christian leaders, or men that want to say I'm a Christian out loud and get people to believe it, is A, you got to live it out, but B, is to be around people that aren't like that too, because you're never going to, it's almost like, I always crack up when people say, I went to Uganda on a mission trip. I went to all these wonderful countries. It was the most amazing experience. I said, did you ever ask your neighbor if they wanted to be a Christian? So you'll get on an airplane and you'll fly thousands of miles away to preach in a place that you're not going to get judged by any meaning, but you won't knock on your neighbor's door. You won't bring up Christianity to your neighbor because you're worried about how they'll judge you. This is an epidemic in Christianity, in my opinion, right? Everybody wants to go somewhere else. And what Pastor Aaron Harley taught me is you don't need to go that far to do mission work. Just look to your left and look to your right. Look behind you and look forward. They're all right there.
Brandon Lake was recently receiving an award. I watched this. It was a very powerful thing he said, and he was challenging Christians to not get focused on just being around other Christians. He's like, a room full of light doesn't necessarily need another light. You need a light in the dark, right? Like,
well, you need darkness to know that the light is shining.
Right.
It's not even darkness. It's the absence of light, right?
Right.
There is no such thing as darkness. It's just the absence of light. And so I just think, yeah, man, Brooks, it's a journey that I'm on and I'm still on, and I'm going to keep pushing on, and I'm sure I'm going to fall off the horse again, bro. You know what I mean?
Appreciate you sharing this, man. It's really powerful, and it's a great story, and it's a good reminder for everybody.
Curtis, you got time for like a couple other questions and we'll wrap it up?
Yes.
I don't want to change courses too quickly because I mean, that was all very powerful. Just to kind of wrap this up in a bow, um, what are what would you say is your like main belief about success that most people might push back on?
Well, first of all, I think failing is more respected than never trying.
Mm-hmm.
And I think John Maxwell said it best, fail forward, right?
Yeah,
And I think I think what happens is the reason people don't experience massive success is because they're looking for the end result, the prize. And so when people ask me what it means to be successful, what people should be asking is what sacrifice did you make? What did you have to do? Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to give up? Well, think about you got a backpack, right? And it's full of stuff and it's as full as it can be. But now you want to be successful, but there's no room in this backpack until you take some things out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to take stuff out of the backpack. This might be a bad habit, right? It might be, this might be I drink too much. I might have too many cocktails. This might be I don't spend enough time with my wife. Whatever it is, right? Whatever is in your backpack, you got to be willing to get rid of some things to fill it up with good stuff, right? You can't expect to be the person you want to be if you're not willing to change the person you are right now.
I love that.
So oops, sorry about that, guys. When I think of success, your question is, what's my belief of success? Did you frame that? Is that how you framed it?
Yeah, yeah. What's a
To
belief you hold
me,
about success that people would push back on?
well, I don't know if they'd push back, but they might not necessarily want to jump on the journey
Mm-hmm.
Right?
because I'm gonna tell you it ain't easy. You're gonna have moments of loneliness. If I told you how many times I thought I failed, how many times I cried on my home, wanted to quit. The stress, the anxiety, the pressure. But pressure either crushes coal or it makes diamonds, right? And so what is pressure, right? It's all how we
Right.
frame it. Being excited and being scared are the same physical of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of being scared, let's be excited, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I love that.
when I hear no, I don't hear NO, I hear KNOW. I don't know enough information. Tell me more, and maybe I'll give you a yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Building value. So it's like success to me is the willingness to understand that there's a lot of potholes.
I love
You're going to
that.
have to change some tires. You got to slow down for speed bumps. But then there's times where you're on the Autobahn, man, and it feels incredibly thrilling.
Yeah.
But
I
the
love that.
Autobahn comes to an end at some point. You got to slow down, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then you're winding through a town, and all of a sudden anxiety strikes again. Just know that the Autobahn comes up a few more exits down.
Yeah.
I would just tell people that there is no success worth having that isn't worth fighting for.
I love that. I got one more, and
Awesome.
then I want to something I want to say to you. But Brooks and I are obviously way earlier in business than you are. But if you could hand us one thing you had to learn the hard way, what is it?
I don't know if I learned it the hard way, but one of the things I drill into people, Steve, is to make sure you capitalize your business first before you try to live fast, flash, and cash. So one of the things I see a lot of people who have the potential to be extremely successful, but again, this is where if we back up, they're chasing the result. They want everybody to believe they're at the mountaintop already. I never cared if someone thought I was at the mountaintop. When I bought $100,000 house, it's when I could afford a $200,000 house. When I bought a $500,000 house, and when I could buy $1 million. I always lived below my means, and I always capitalized my business first, knowing what is my end result. My goal was always my family will never suffer. So I will tell you the hard lesson is when you have success, amateurize that success so it lasts for a longer period of time, because after success inevitably comes some level of failure. It's a cycle in business. Just look at the stock market,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Business is the same exact way. So if you capitalize your business and your life and your family, knowing that you have ebbs and flows, and I did it out of scarcity, not because I had the intellect to know the difference, but now I have the intellect to share that knowledge, which is
Right.
live below your means.
I
If
love
you
that.
must have a Rolex, buy a fake one right now. If
I
you
like that.
must have people think you have a Rolex, you understand? Get a
Mm-hmm.
Rolex.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, don't try to be flash and cash. There's a book, The Millionaire Next Door. It's the most average person in the world, right? Be average, because average is can be really good if you're average in everything in life is actually quite exceptional to me.
That's awesome.
Because most people aren't average. They're usually crappy at one part, exceptional at another. Try to be average at
Mm-hmm.
being a dad, average at being a husband, average at business, average at Christianity, average at giving, average at whatever it is. Just be
Yeah.
average.
Yeah.
It's okay to be average, right? Like, it's okay. You'll shine above average to a lot of people, but I would say capitalize your business, Steve.
I love that.
Capitalize your business and don't be scared to fail. But don't put
Love
your
that.
family in jeopardy because you have big dreams. Be
That's really
rational.
good too.
Be rational.
That's good. I wanted to say something. I know I've told Brooks this in private. I've never actually even told you myself. The story of how we met. And I don't even know if you remember this. We met at a golf school
At
in
Orange County National.
Orange County National 2022. I credit you with my move to Florida, because I don't know if you know this or not. You made the initial connection for me that led to a connection that led to a lot of connections to real estate agents that actually spearheaded the move here to me. So like I'm going to get emotional saying it, but you like hold a very special place to me
Thank you,
because,
brother. That means a lot to
um,
me. Thank you.
it changed the trajectory of my life
Well,
for
your
sure.
trajectory is pretty awesome, dude.
Thanks.
Brooks, I definitely look forward to getting to know you better.
Yeah.
But
Same.
watching Steve and going through the reps and he's one of the most disciplined people I know. The only thing I would change about Steve is his, his, his delusion on what is a good protein bar. He won't admit that it's truly a candy bar, but he's so disciplined in everything in his life that it's
That's
it's
why we stick
it's
close,
it's so
Curtis.
impressive to me, man. Like, it
That's why
really
we
is.
stick close.
Right? Like,
Yep.
it's impressive, man. Like, you're gonna be the guy doing these podcasts, both of you, one day, and it's like, I am not more successful than you guys. I've just been doing it longer.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And I say that because I have a friend of mine who's 70 something years old. He's 20 years older than me. And I go, man, I wish I had he goes, dude, I didn't have this when I was 53. I'm like, all right, now I get it. Right. Like, I'm just being
Yeah. Right.
stupid, like
Right.
expecting things to happen when it's not my time yet.
Yeah,
But
that's
life's pretty
good.
good, man. Like,
I
this is,
can't complain.
listen, to be wanted. You guys asked me to be on this podcast. Like, man, thank you.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing. We appreciate you very much and
Anytime.
being vulnerable and sharing the journey, because it's something that Steve and I talk about the journey together, and that's something that bonds us. And like you said, Steve's a really impressive guy, and that's why we stick close, is just to share that journey. That's why we started this podcast. So just to document it and share that conversation with other people. So thank you for taking the time to share your journey with us. And
My pleasure.
Sure, man.
it
Yeah,
took an awesome
we'll do it
turn.
again, because I feel like I didn't hit a lot of the business points, but hopefully I hit whatever points I was supposed to hit today.
No,
It,
you
it
did
took an
great.
awesome turn. You killed it, man.
That was
I
powerful.
appreciate you.
Well, my pleasure, man. I just I'm here for you guys. If I can help in any way, I'm here. So please.
You got anything you need to plug?
Nah.
Okay.
Man, thanks for being my friend, man. No,
Thank you.
I really don't. I really don't, man. I just if anybody watches this and sees any value and I do, I'm open to public speaking. I'm open to sales meetings. I'm open to motivational meetings. I'm open, I'm in a phase of my life where it's nice to get paid for my intellect, and I come cheap, meaning it's not about money for me. It's about fulfillment and giving back as best I can,
Love that. Yeah.
I'm hung up on trying to get good at golf and trying to be a better husband, be a better dad, be a
If
better.
you figure out the first one, let me know.
It's hard, man. It's hard. I did figure out something last night, so I'm excited
There you
to
go.
go work on it later on today. So, man, I can't thank you guys enough, man. This
Thanks,
is
brother.
just like my friend, my young man friend who was struggling right now with cancer was a blessing to me. You guys are a blessing to me as well, man. To have
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Likewise.
the trust and just the giving me being vulnerable enough to allow me to speak, not knowing what the heck I'm going to talk about. I appreciate that, man. It's a crapshoot sometimes with me. I got to warn you.
I had a lot of fun,
All right, man.
Curtis.
You guys have an
Thanks,
awesome
man.
day, man.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
brother.
Hey, I always leave every email and every podcast, every message with this one thing. If nobody's told you today that they love you, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have a great day,
Love that,
guys.
man. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Take care.
Thanks, bud.